The thing that makes Ace Attorney unique from other visual novels is the courtroom aesthetic. It's not exactly like other video games where you play as a private detective. You're a defense attorney trying to save your client from being guilty with overarching plot points about finding the truth and the corruption within the legal system. You can flick on your skybox set and find many old movies and TV shows centered around the courtroom. Even you run-of-the-mill sitcom like Mind Your Language would have an episode dedicated to this subgenre of media. But the funny thing is this is the most well-known video game using this sort of unique gameplay gimmick, except for Danganronpa, which makes up its own rules about class trials entirely separate from any kind of realistic law system, which isn't exactly a bad thing, mind you. There are actually some more obscure titles using this type of gameplay mechanic, for better and for worse. Rosaria, Hope, and Avery Attorney immediately come to mind, but I never bothered both of them. Also, I hear the former game sucks. Bad. Ironic, as I'm going to be praising something bad in this video. And let the backlash commence. Acquittal Induction, to anyone who has heard of this game, it's a god-awful piece of abysmal trash. Which isn't saying a lot if the creators of said game are taking constructive criticism and suggestions for the game quite well if they are willing to change the freaking art style of the game. Acquittal is a Kickstarter project made by Priscilla Games this year, and not enough money was donated to the project. For a second time. Yeah, I mean second time. 3 years ago, Priscilla made the first version of Acquittal under the name of Call to the Turnabout, which just so happens to borrow from Ace Attorney a lot more than the current version. Basically, I'm glad they decided to come back and recreate this 3 years after the Kickstarter flop. It shows the creator is really passionate about this project to revive it as we see it now, which I support, if I have to cast. The game itself is still in complete development as we speak, and I would like to talk about the free demo that was released not too long ago. So this will be much of a review, but rather a look at Acquittal Induction and what my thoughts are on it in general, what I wish could be improved here. Now, let us begin our look into a game with the most potential and a lot of flack behind it. Acquittal Induction is a demo that is able to give us a good premise for a story, but isn't exactly taken all the way. The demo starts off with opening narration giving us exposition of the situation at hand. In short, our main protagonist, the very expressive Storm Sentai, was late to the lawyer convention FemCon, hosted by his university, the Family School of Law. A terrorist attack had occurred, leaving no survivors, meaning every lawyer, every student, maybe some of actual defense barristers had died during that incident. This is basically Turnabout Countdown meets Turnabout Academy. A very interesting premise for a game such as this. So you expect to participate in a large-scale case such as this. But there is one problem. A different, more small-scale murder happened during the same day, and you participated in that instead. You, a law student, have to deal with a random murder, trying to hopefully find the connection to the FemCon incident. Keyword, hopefully. The demo never really hints at how it connects. I mean, I know why they won't do it, because spoilers for the main game, but the main problem is that they give us a large-scale murder, then give us a small-scale murder. I haven't got actually a problem with the small-scale murder, just that it feels like a random-ass sidetrack, if you get what I'm talking about. Moving on, the easily best portions of this demo have to be the lobby sections of the game. The two of these scenes in the demo were able to give us good chunks of nice dialogue, to give us good moments that just help pique our interest when new information gets revealed. Even when that info is delivered bluntly and shoved in our face, like it's no big deal. Looking at that reveal on Storm, the pacing here is average, but during certain cases it finds the time to rush where it's unnecessary and to draw out things that could be done easily in a fifth of that time. The game is able to promise us a good story and shows hints of it by making an intriguing mystery that can be very interesting to solve, when you actually try to solve it, that is. But then again, most of the stuff that would be expanded later on in the full game, but has the time to mention it here. And by stuff, I mean dropping stuff that should be hand-waved so easily, let alone that should be shown in the demo, that more or less is a stepping stone for a better product coming soon. Judging by the trailers, you should expect this game to be an Ace Attorney clone that is cloning itself from Ace Attorney and is using its own methods to do so, like this and this. Looks cool, right? Want to try them out, right? Well, too bad! You actually don't see these three mechanics used within the demo. To me, it is pretty much upsetting, as it's basically Acquittal's chance to shine and separate it from being an Ace Attorney wannabe. This game's biggest setback besides focusing more on Ace Attorney-esque mechanics than creating its own unique identity. They had one opportunity in the game to add a twist to the gameplay, examination in chief. In short, a counter cross-examination. That sort of thing would be really interesting to see, but well, you just find your witness unhelpful and you cross-examine them yourself, which is what I see as wasted potential, and I hate wasted potential. Well, I'm more upset at wasted potential than angry at it, but you get my drift, right? What you are basically seeing is an Ace Attorney fan game, made in its own engine. Not that much difference in terms of gameplay, besides what we saw in the trailer, which we can only hope to see in the full game. Just please, I just wanna play these parts. The one thing noteworthy, gameplay wise, is their version of synaptic resonance. I find it very amazing spin on said mechanic. To translate what I mean, I'll have to compare and contrast both of these mechanics together. But in order to do that, let me explain synaptic resonance. The purpose of this mechanic is basically similar to what BBC's Sherlock does. Give us the insight inside the character's mind, see what steps they are taking to come to that conclusion. In Ace Attorney games before Dual Destinies, you often see Phoenix or Apollo figure out their solution to the crime, and it's basically looking like an ass pull to everyone in the court. That is, if you know that confident smirk upon their glorious face. I mean, you're dealing with a smartass here, where the zany is the logical in this world at least. But the purpose of synaptic resonance serves it so as how they have come to that conclusion. A little bit like danganronpa's closing argument. Not that one. To build up what the case has been up to that point and find out what to do to take down the killer. This is a great concept with one misstep. You see, the interactivity consists of you choosing one out of 3 answers. The obvious answer, the obvious wrong answer, and the hilarious answer. That's it. But with this version in Acquittal, it is able to give us branching paths. It is mainly there to act as a mental maze, and it fits this type of mechanic all too well. You basically have to click which one of the choices, and it leads you to either another branching path or a dead end, and you get to go back to fix a mistake. It allows you to think a little more logically. Danganronpa also did this stick as well. It was a bit more eccentric. Fuck the taxi. Anyways, Acquittal's version helps us give us a broader term of thinking, and let's come to decision by thinking logically. And it was fun when it lasted. There is one contradiction in this game that I cannot stand, and that is done right after the aforementioned mental maze. It leads the player to believe the contradiction lies within the victim's body, i.e. the hand. But then, when you select the picture, it isn't the case. No one I knew guessed the contradiction properly. They either got it by clicking randomly or got it purely by accident or chance. I fall in the latter, as I accidentally clicked the space when I was taking a screenshot. Apparently, it is the wall you have to click. The contradiction is actually the lack of blood spatter on the wall, which is complete and utter bullshit. Who thought this was a good contradiction to make? Misleading. Moving on. If it is one thing I love about this game over all other aspects, it would have to be the presentation of this game. Oh, okay, hear me out. I'm mainly talking about the graphic presentation. I like all the cool buttons, how they animate when they come on screen, the objection bubbles, the cross-examination cards. It all feels so clean and neon futuristic. If that, it all feels very clean and very sleek, and I like it. It actually feels on par with the graphics in Danganronpa V3, which is saying a lot, but we're talking only about the foreground graphics. There's still the art and the music to go through. So basically, a lot of people hate the art in this game, and by that I mean the art style of the sprites and how they were drawn. Basically, how they look like they're copied from a how to draw manga character book, and I can clearly see why people think that. In actuality, some character sprites look better than others, and I can clearly see why people think that. In actuality, some characters look better than others. From worst to best, Mendex, Richard, Lawrence, Justice Donovan, Lizzie, Donovan, and Storm. And look at that face of adrenaline on Storm's face. Okay, Batman. The worst designs just look blatant, while the best strong ones were just less blatant and tolerable and okay. The events and the backgrounds, however, look so much better. They look stunning. The events look really nice. Watercolors and good lighting giving nothing other than a stunning view. The backgrounds look like better versions of the character sprites, except oh, you get what I mean. The music consists of synth orchestra, which is heavily fitting of a modern British setting such as this. Did I mention it takes place in good old Britland? It has catchy yet a boring vibe to it. I can see why other people do not like the game's music, but I think the music in this game is solid, especially the Allegro that sounds a lot like the first A game Allegro. In conclusion, Acquittal Induction is a very flawed but passable game. It has been as earnest as possibly can to not only be a good tribute to Ace Attorney, but isn't as nearly trying its best to stray away from being a clone, which in turn doesn't paint a very good picture of the originality. But it is impressive that this case was made in Python. Yes, Python! To me, it is clear passion and dedication that's put into this game. Clear Porcella care about their product, but the game itself suffers from all the flaws I mentioned in this video. And I did mention this, but whenever you move on to the next scene, there's a 1 second pause. To me it's not much, but because I don't even notice that, but resulting in 1 second pauses kind of feel a little bit grating to some other people. And the case itself, as far as but it draws out and out with a character who's less engaging than Frank saw it. But as I also said, there's some really interesting ideas and very good lineage. I was slashing through half the lines in this game. Seriously, I love this writing. The game has potential, that much is obvious, but knowing this person is able to care enough to take criticism to heart and keep improving his project is good enough news to me. Because honestly, it's better to try to have an earnest mess of a product that is honestly trying to be something great, but end up failing flat instead of a poor, lazy excuse for some cats. I enjoyed my time, that much is enough. So if it's only that, I could only give it an average at best. Cause I honestly want to see this bloom into a big flower, if I make even a lick of sense. Well, anyway, make sure you like and subscribe so I can have a reason to live so I won't cease to exist. I am HeroMan66475 and this game needs some more people who care to support it. Also signing out and whatever.